Hey everybody, this is Ori from AstroWeb, and I'm happy to introduce to you the Magento B2B functionality for Magento Commerce. It's a video I've been wanting to create for a long time, and I'm happy to finally create it for you guys to show you the B2B functionalities in Magento. So typically Magento, before they made the B2B, or if you have Magento open source only, the Magento is built for B2C. So B2C is business to consumers. Your business is selling directly to the customer. It's very simple. Customer browses your website. They go to checkout. They typically pay by credit card. Then you get the payment, you ship to them, and you finish the order. But when you interact with other businesses, so B2B is business to business, when you're selling to other businesses, you have to interact with them in different ways. So first of all, businesses have multiple people in the business. You're selling to the business, but people have to interact. Businesses have different ways to pay. Businesses have different pricing, different visibility. So there's a lot of different things that happen with the business itself. That's the first thing that's very, very different. Now, we're going to get into all these details. I want to show you the back end, but this is the first difference. Second difference is the second thing is the shared catalog. So different businesses might be able to see different products that you're selling. So maybe certain products, they might be visible only to certain companies, and maybe certain products might get a certain discount for a specific company. So maybe all customers get normal pricing, and then some businesses get 5% off everything, and some businesses get 20% off everything. So shared catalogs have either restricted catalogs, so only some company can see certain products, exclusive products, let's call them. And in a more popular terms is certain discounts on the whole catalog itself. Okay, the third thing is the quote. Your businesses can purchase from you, get a quote. They can go add stuff to their cart and then submit it to their sales representative, and then get a quote, have some negotiations back and forth, and then finally add to cart, finally check out and order. Next one is quick order. So instead of the business having to browse your whole website, go to all your products, your categories, add everything to cart slowly, there's going to be one page that you can go ahead and then add all the products to cart, either via spreadsheet that you upload or just copy paste the SKUs. You can easily add to cart and proceed to checkout quickly. The next one is Requisition List. Requisition List is very similar to kind of like a wish list, the way I see it, but basically it's a way for you as the business to save products in your cart that you can reorder very easily. So in many certain types of businesses, the businesses reorder the same products again and again. So you can create multiple requisition lists that you can easily go and repurchase those things very easily, go check out and finish. And the last one is purchase orders, right? So the business itself would create a list of all the products and submit purchase orders as sales representative, create the order, agree on the quantity, the products, the pricing, etc. Specify purchase order, pay later, or however you want to do this, and then check out. These are the basic things in Magento B2B. They're great out of the box. It's a really good starting point. So let's jump into more details right now. We're going to go one by one and specify the information. Okay. Number one is company. So companies, when you're in the backend itself, companies under the customers, in addition to customers, you're going to have another section here called companies, where you're going to list all the companies that you're interacting with, right? All the companies that are buying from you. Now, companies, the list is right here. So for example, you can add a new company, or customers can just go and actually create a company account by themselves. So there's two ways you can do that. Okay. Now let's actually edit this company, but if you click create. So it doesn't matter if you create a company in the backend as a business or your customer, they actually created a company account. They can go, and then each company will have a name, that is it active or not, the main email, and every company will assign a sales representative. So for example, these sales representatives are one of the admins that are here. So if you click here on admin, when you create access for someone to log into the backend of Magento, you can select one of these. So every company only belongs one representative. Obviously, one sales rep can belong to many companies. And here you can have all the main information, like the company information, the tax ID, the legal name, the address, and you're going to assign one administrator. So every company belongs to one administrator. So this administrator will basically set up the main information of the company, and they can set up a structure of the company. So we'll see in a moment about this. Okay, let's go here. In addition to that, companies many times want to buy with credit. So they want to go and they can actually either pay you ahead of time, or you trust this company and you allow them to purchase within a certain amount of credit and have certain payment terms, for example, plus 90, net 90, things like that. And so you can create for this company how much credit. For example, I have 170,000. You can reimburse the balance if you want to return, basically add more to their credit, or you can change their credit amount and always have a reason, and you can allow to exceed the credit. After they buy 170,000, can they buy more, yes or no? And then the next thing you can do for every company, you can specify the settings on, do you allow them to request quotes, right, for products, or do you just ask them to just purchase directly? Allowing quotes is basically interacting with the sales representative back and forth. Can they create purchase orders? And what payment methods and shipping methods do you allow them? For example, this one is only creating purchase orders and paying offline. This one is using the company payment on account, means using the company credit right here, and any other things. So for example, if I want just like Apple Pay or credit card or things like that, I can do that as well. Now, if you notice here, it says disabled because in my sales configuration, I don't have some of these payment methods enabled, but I could enable them there and then select here. Same thing goes with shipping methods themselves. Okay, so now that we have one admin, this admin needs to create the structure itself. So sometimes businesses, you're just one person, they can just buy from you. But in some cases, you want to create a whole team. For example, I might create a team called, this is my US team, and this is my Canada team, and this is my Southwest team, and this is my East team, etc. Depends on the divisions and the company structure itself. So what you can do is you can create, for example, a team. Let's just call this US team, and I can create someone called Sarah, and Sarah I will allow her to purchase from me, but every purchase has to be approved by Dan, okay, by her manager, for example. So we're going to go into structure, creating companies, and creating some kind of flow for the company to buy. Okay, so what happens? So the company admin is the only one that can set up the structure. So if I go here and I have a company admin right here called Jake. So I'm going to log in as Jake, and this is the company it's buying from you guys. I'm going to go here and I'm going to sign in as Jake. Okay, 1 second. And then Jake is going to actually have some information in his My Account. So I'm going to go to My Account right here. And I'm going to see all this company information right here. So here I can edit the company profile. So the information like my tax ID and address, and I can see which payment and shipping methods the company allows me to pay with. Second thing is I can see my company credit. How much can I purchase with? How much have I used already? Third one is the structure. So the structure again is this thing right here. So how do I create the structure? It depends on your company structure. But what you do very simply is you add a team, which is going to be one of these specific sections here. And you can add multiple levels for the team, by the way. Okay, so you see level 1, level 2, and you can have different. So what you're going to do is after you create a team, you're going to add users, which users are real real people that are interacting with your business. Okay, so for example, I created this. So for example, Mark is creating the orders and Jenny is actually going to approve the order so they can go through and actually get shipped and buy. So every user you create, for example, a user, you're going to select their information, specify their information. Are they active or inactive? If they're inactive, they cannot interact with the website. And you're going to select the user role. So what is the user role? The user roles are set here by the admin. The role will be able to create things like this is the manager that approves things. This is the guy that can create the purchase order. This is the guy that's going. So let me show you some basic things about the role. So these guys can, this role can create sales, allow checkout, view orders. This one can create quotes. This one is for order approvals, right? For example, the manager or the director has to approve orders, can view and manage the company profile, the company create users and structure, and view the company credit. So any one of these are part of the role itself. The last part, once you create the company user information and the structure, you have to obviously assign the role to the user, just like you assign a role and user to a Magento backend. The last one is the approval rules. This is really important for the structure. For example, I want, Jenny to approve, or, Dan to approve Jenny, for example. So what you do is you're going to create a new rule right here, and you're going to have a few things. So the rule applies to specific roles. For example, for example, I'd create a manager role, what we did here in the step before. And the second thing would be the type. So you can specify the type by the order total, the shipping costs. So for example, for this one, if an order, it has more than, for example, 1,000 products, it has to be approved by, for example, this manager or this role specific, right? So maybe the specific manager role that I created here has to be approved. And so you can create these auto approvals or not auto approvals for total, shipping costs, and number of SKUs. Hope that makes sense. Okay, this is a very important part about flows, etc. So now we finish this part. So let's move on to the next part. The second part we have here is shared catalog. So there's two things that can happen for shared catalog. Number one is you can restrict some of your products that you're selling to certain companies or to a certain group of companies. The second thing is you can create automatic discounts for certain companies for the catalog. So let's show you some of these basic things. Under catalog, aside from uploading your products and categories, you have a new section here called shared catalogs. Okay, so by default, there's two types. One is public, which means anyone who browses your website can basically see all of the categories that you set as public. It means I don't have to be logged in, or I'm just a general group, right? A customer group called general. I can just see these. But what you can do is you can create a new one, either add, or I'll show you the edit, which is the same. So for example, I added one for general settings called men's, and only the men's catalog will be visible for one specific company. I can specify that, so I can hide those. So what do I do here? I'm going to go to men's, and I'm going to assign the companies, and I'm going to assign it to only the companies that I want. Now, you could take your whole website and you could completely have all the products. You could make your website that you have to, when you visit the website, if you're not logged in, you can't see anything. So you could literally hide everything and then force people to register, and only companies that you approve can actually go ahead and start browsing. But on the other hand, you can also set certain products or certain categories to only be visible for certain companies. So it depends on your business model. So what I did is I went and I assigned, for example, this one. If I want to unassign, I can do that. Or if I have multiple companies, I could check, and I can auto assign or unassign. Now, the second part, aside from creating products that are only for certain businesses, I can also go ahead here and set the pricing and the structure. So I can specify which products are available and do I get a certain discount for those products. So I'm going to click here on configure. And for example, I only checkbox these products, these categories, okay? And then what I did is I clicked on next, and now I can specify for all the products that are in the categories that I selected, only these ones, for example, I can specify, do they automatically, these companies that are assigned, for example, I only have one, they all get 5% off. Or for example, maybe this one I get 8% off and this one I get 9%. Or I can specify a fixed amount. Instead of 52, this is going to be 48 for them. And you can also do this in bulk, right? So for example, select all, and I can go here and select either a fixed amount or a discount. Typically bulk, very easy to do by discount. For example, 12% off for this whole company. And this is the shared catalog for 12% off. Okay, now once I do this, I'm going to click on generate catalog, and within a few seconds or minutes, depending on how many products you have, you're going to assign that. And so now, for example, if you saw that I went here, this user, this company can only see the men's catalog, and they're going to have a special promotion. You see that? Okay, perfect. Let's move on to the next thing, B2B quote. Now, when my company, let's go right here. Let me log in. So when the company is trying to purchase from you, if you enabled quotes for them, when they browse your website, let's go here, let's browse the website. And let's say I add something to my cart. Okay, so let's go right here, and I'm going to add this to my cart. And let's say I add a lot of products to my cart. When I go to the shopping cart itself, I'm going to have a section here called quotes. Request a quote right here. Okay, and so what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some comment. For example, please provide by Wednesday. And the quote name, I'm just going to name something that I want for my internal purposes. When you do this, the sales representative is going to get a quote right here, and the business is going to have a new section in their My Account called Quotes, which they can follow up. For example, I just submitted this one. I can view it. Now, everything happens with emails as well. So now the business itself is going to go here to sales and quotes, and they're going to have some back and forth. They're going to create some quote, maybe some discounts, maybe have some email or phone communication. And I can see the status. This is a new one. Okay. And what I can see here, this is the expiration date. If there's no back and forth, this is the sales rep. This is the shared catalog, all the information. I can see all the products are here. What I can do is I can actually go, I could decline the quote. Maybe I don't want to sell it or whatever reason. Or what I can do is I can send it, or I can create a discount. So let's say, for example, I want to give them another, my sales rep has some leverage and they're allowed to give, for example, up to 8%. So you can say, okay, I'm going to give 8% off, and it's going to calculate, and I can send it back. So now the business itself, they're going to get an email. They're going to go back here, right here. You see this quote, and it was submitted. And now the sales representative, Dave, submitted something and it was updated. Okay. And now you can see that there's a different quote right here. And you can see here within the history log that there's some information here. Okay. There's some information. I can see comments. I can also write back to them. And if it's okay with me, what I can do, so if I have some comment, I say, oh, this is not enough, or I can't proceed, I can send it back, and there can be back and forth. But if it's okay with me, I have a new price, I'm happy with it, I can go ahead and I can proceed to checkout, and I can buy. So let's look at a little bit about a proceed to checkout. So I'm going to just fill in my information, for example, right here. Okay, just going to fill up some basic information. Okay, I'm going to go here. And now I'm going to go to my payment method. Now, if you remember, the business is assigned. Let's go right here to customers, companies. And I'm going to edit the company, right? Because Jake is part of the lawnmower company. And I'm going to see here, I have here my payment. So I have payment on account, I have purchase order, right? So let's go here. So I have payment on account and I have purchase order. So payment on account will use my available credit to deduct it. And the purchase order, sorry, right here, is going to be a purchase order. For example, I have my PO, whatever my purchase order is, okay? If I click on create an order, it would actually create a real order. Okay, now if there's some kind of you see here, there's submitted for approval, right? So if there's some flow that we created, the order can be automatically approved, or it can be approved by, for example, a higher level. Okay, so now if I go here, I can see here sales orders. Okay, and now I have, one second, let's go here. Okay, so order number 2. Okay, so let's go right here. My account. My purchase orders. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so you see it's approved right here. Okay, and now I'm going to do this. So the reason for that, for place an order, is because of the levels itself, right? So let's go right here and let's refresh it. Okay, perfect. Now I have my order itself. Now the business itself will have to process the order itself, right? So for example, I could ship it, invoice it, depends how it is. So typically for a purchase order, you'll ship the product first, depending on your business model, and then eventually you'll receive payment. So let's say I'm going to ship it and a UPS. Okay, I created the shipment, and then the business eventually got payment, for example, 60 days later, or whatever payment type it is. And then eventually I go here and I click on invoice, and I basically collected the invoice itself. So now my order will be complete, just like a B2C order. Okay, so what else do we have here? Okay, so we are complete. The order is complete. Perfect. So what's the next thing we have here? Quick order. Okay, so what is a quick order? Let's go right here. When the business goes to your website, aside, instead of them just going to the products, the categories, etc., they can just go here to the top and click on quick order. If they know the SKUs, they can just do one by one, put the SKUs in. For example, let's just find the SKU right here. And I can say, okay, right here, I want this, and I want whatever it might be, okay? So basically you can add it here, or what you can do is you can add all the SKUs here, line by line. Or what you can do is you can create it right here. You can take a sample, you can give this to your customers, and you can just create a spreadsheet right here and just add all the lines one by one, and then just upload them right here. Once they do that, you click add to cart, and then all those products will be in your cart, and you can proceed normal. So this is the next thing. Next one, requisition list. These are lists, kind of like wish lists, that you can actually repeat the order, re-add those to your cart if you keep on repurchasing these things. So what's going to happen here? When I go to my products, let's say right here, I'm going to go right here. So if I hover over here, either on the category page, I can create a requisition list. I can add it immediately, or on the product page, I can go here. And I can go here and I can add it. So for example, I want to call it clothing. Okay. Perfect. Now, when you go to your My Account, you can always go back to the requisition list right here. I mean, I can do this. Okay. And then right here. And then customers can just re-add things to their list. And then eventually they can go to the list and they can actually proceed to check out from there. So let's look at that. Okay, and I can go here. Okay, so update list. Okay, and I can basically just add to cart. For example, I want all of these. I only have one thing in my list, and I can go here and add to cart. I can also update the list right here. Okay, so next one. What do we have next one? Is purchase orders. Okay, so let's add these to my cart. Okay, so purchase order we already made before, right? We did that with the checkout. So I'm going to actually skip to the next part, which is, let's proceed to checkout with using our credit, our company credit. Okay, so I'm going to click my shipping. Okay, so I'm going to click on payment on account and have some reference, for example, SO, whatever. And I'm going to use my company credit. So for example, this is $75. I'm going to click on place purchase. And now obviously, because there's no purchase order, there's no back and forth. Now I can actually go ahead. Let's go here. So now that the order was created, I would basically go, here's the order. It was created, and obviously it uses the credit, so no problem. And you can see it uses the balance is reducing. Then I can go ahead and ship an invoice and finish the order itself. Okay, so these are the most, these are covering all of the functionality of B2B things. So I want to introduce a few other very, very small things. So what else can we do here with B2B? So when we go to store configuration, there's a few configurations that we can do here in the general tab. I can specify for my business model what settings. Do I enable company, shared catalog, quote, quick order, requisition lists, and what are my default B2B payment and shipping methods? And do I allow the order approval, enable purchase orders? So these are some basic settings that you have right here. Obviously, the other thing you can do is you can customize emails like you always do, because your business might need some different emails for this B2B flow. So how would you do that? You would go to marketing and you go to email templates, and you basically create those templates, right? So you have the templates right here, and you can have some things like company status and these kind of things. Okay, so here you have some purchase orders, etc. So I hope this made sense to you guys. Please let me know if you have any questions. Anything about B2B functionality, customization, how to set up things. Really appreciate you guys watching our videos, and just ask questions. We're here to help, share more information, help grow e-commerce, web, information, Magento, Shopify, everything. Really appreciate it, guys. Looking forward.